Subprimeval, Season 3, Episode 4, Somewhere Safe, Part 2, written by Robert S.C. Cutler, read by Fentriss O. Moore. Major Wallace screamed out in pain. His left shoulder had been dislocated, and he had a compound fracture of the right ulna and radius. The huge creature, bloodied, with a chest full of hot lead and lying on top of Wallace, screamed out in pain as well, and then growled low and deep, causing all but Freakshow to back away. With still resolve, Freakshow swung the barrel of his M4 carbine up, aimed between the creature's black eyes, and squeezed the trigger. "You ladies can come out of hiding now and help me get this thing off of the Major," Freakshow said. "Shit, I wasn't scared of that thing. I bagged the sucker first," the cocky agent boasted. Freakshow turned and glowered the cocky agent's way. "Your rookie move almost got Major Wallace killed. If you pull a stunt like that again, I'll put a bullet through your head next." "Oh, you think you're in charge now? You better show your attitude, Chief, if you know what's good for you," the cocky agent challenged. Major Wallace screamed out in pain again, gaining everyone's undivided attention. "From this moment on, Agent Shore is in charge. He will assume all of my authority until this mission is determined to be complete. Am I making myself clear? Good. Now get this blasted thing off of me." The group of young agents rushed over to Wallace and rolled the lifeless beast off of his body. With great care, two of the agents helped him to his feet. "Which way, Agent Shore?" asked Wallace. "We're heading to the main lab. We can get you the first aid you need there, and there's a good chance we might find Teray, if she's still on the property." With the electricity cut off, the automatic lighting in the corridors leading away from the atrium was inoperable. To make matters more difficult, the emergency lighting units had been blasted off the walls. After feeling his way down one of the long, dark halls, Freakshow found the door leading into the main laboratory. "She's covering her tracks, Shore," Major Wallace grimaced. "Where do the other passageways lead to?" "I'm not sure. I was only allowed in this section of the building." "Figures. After we get what we need in the lab, take a team and check out every square inch of this place." "I thought I was in charge," Freakshow smirked. Wallace grinned. "You are, but you still have to do whatever I tell you to." Freakshow placed a strip of plastic explosive the size of a piece of chewing gum across the electronic lock and stuck a small detonator into it. After moving his fellow agents away, he blew the door and flooded the hall with the light from the adjacent room. Freakshow swept the area for creatures or hostile forces, but found nothing other than strewn about files and upended furniture. "Coast is clear. Get the Major inside," Freakshow ordered. There were 3 doors that led off of the office area into a network of laboratories and surgical suites. The first 2 doors Freakshow tried to open were locked. The third was bent inward and splattered with blood. "Secure the door we just came through," Freakshow ordered. "Make sure nothing can make its way in here without considerable effort." As the group of agents pushed every single piece of heavy furniture in the room against the door, Freakshow took the cocky agent aside and spoke to him in private. "We got off on the wrong foot," Freakshow said. "What's your name?" The cocky agent ran his hand over the stubble of his light blonde hair and laughed. "Alive for the moment." "This isn't a laughing matter. What I want to do will take 2 agents, and both of us have to be crackerjack shots. You might not have followed orders, but your aim was dead on accurate. Even though punk ass would be a good fit for you, I'd much rather call you by your given name." The cocky agent laughed. "Last name is Gates, but I kind of like punk ass myself if you so choose." Freakshow patted Gates on the back. "Nah, Gates will do for now." "Why only me and you?" asked Gates. "Rodriguez and Jacobs are good shots too." "The spaces in the labs are too cramped and full of places to hide, which will make it too easy for one of us to shoot the other by mistake." "So we're using the buddy team concept?" asked Gates. "Yes, you will enter the space first, operating as the point man, taking out anything that pops its ugly head out one bullet at a time. I will be the team leader, ensuring our back is covered and finishing off what you don't kill with the first shot." Gates smirked. "Don't worry, the first shot will do the trick." "With the smaller ones, yes, but those nasty bastards can vary in size from a small dog to twice the height of a man. If we run into one of the bigger ones, it might take as many as 4 or 5 shots in the head to bring it down." You killed that one back there with only one to the head. And it was a sitting target. These things are lightning fast and hard to hit. Oh, and don't make the same mistake of aiming for the body, because you might not survive the next time. Freakshow smiled and then turned to address the rest of the group. Gates and I are going to sweep the rooms beyond this office. If anything or anyone gets by us, shoot to kill. Don't get eaten, Wallace said. Both Freakshow and Gates nodded Wallace's way before proceeding through the door. The first two rooms Freakshow and Gates entered were void of creatures and people. Only the occasional half-eaten remains of both were evidence that something malevolent had come this way. They're cannibalistic? Asked Gates. Yup. Big fish, little fish. We theorized that was the reason they're so lethal as soon as they are born. We found no evidence of maternal instinct, just the drive to eat or be eaten. Gates covered his nose and mouth with his hand. Man, they are pungent. They mark their territory like a cat when two or more of them occupy the same space. It usually takes 3 or more days to get this rancid, which means Dr. Touré had a bigger head start on us than we first thought. There's one, Gates yelled, and then split the skull of one of the smaller creatures with a series of shots. Told you they're fast. Where was it hiding? Cabinets beneath the specimen jars, Gates pointed. Crap, we'll have to go through them one by one. I'll open the doors, and you'll kill whatever runs out, Freakshow directed. Freakshow opened each door in succession, revealing microscopes and lab supplies, but no creatures. As both he and Gates visually swept the room one more time, something large slinked in from the hall. It was a mere 10 feet from them both, when heavy breathing and the clicking of sharp claws on the tile floor gave away its position. Freakshow turned and only caught the blur of movement when the huge creature swatted his M4 out of his hands, the stock of the rifle hitting him straight in the jaw and dropping him to the floor. Panicked, Gates started firing indiscriminately, striking the creature everywhere but in the head. As it advanced toward him, Gates turned to run and tripped over Freakshow, landing headfirst into the cabinets. Before he could get up, he heard 6 loud pops and a blood-curdling screech. What did I say, Gates? In the head and only the head, Freakshow growled. Gates picked himself up off the floor and wiped away a drip of blood that was trickling out of his nostril. I think I broke my nose, he said. Well, I definitely have a couple of loose molars, Freakshow said while rubbing his jaw. Gates motioned for Freakshow to be quiet and nodded over toward the door. When he picked up his rifle and aimed, Freakshow knew exactly what his point man was doing. Gates took in a steady breath and then let it out slowly, pulling the trigger and holding it when the last of the air left his lungs. 10 spent rounds later, something big fell to the ground. Did you get it? Asked Freakshow. And then some. There are brains everywhere. Let's just hope that was the last of them. We need to hurry up and clear the next 2 rooms. At the end of the hall, the double doors that led into the operating suite were torn off their hinges and lying crumpled and riddled with bite marks. Inside, only one of the emergency lighting units was intact and working, casting the spacious room in an eerie glow. Movement in the far right corner caught Gates' eye when he first walked in. A creature over 7 feet in length was lying lethargically on top of approximately 9 half-eaten people, licking the chest cavity of a victim dressed in blue surgical scrubs. On the wall directly above the bodies were 9 circular blood splatters. Looks like an execution, Freakshow said. Forget that. Check out our friend here. Gates motioned over toward the creature. It doesn't even notice we're here. Its abdomen is extended, and its eyes look cloudy, like it has cataracts. Is it sick? Asked Gates. That or it ate too much, Freakshow said. Well, I've seen enough. Gates sighed and then popped the creature in the head a half-dozen times. Freakshow patted Gates on the back. Getting better, punk ass. Now you're just trying to get on my good side, Gates smirked. You hear that? Asked Freakshow. Yeah, like something calling for help. It's coming from Touré's office. Electronic key lock on both sides of the door. There's no way out or in unless you have the code, Freakshow said. You blow the door and I'll cover you. Gates quickly formed a small piece of the plastic explosive adjacent to the door handle and moved away. Detonator. Yeah, that might help. Gates laughed and then finished rigging the explosive. Freakshow counted backward from 5, then pointed at Gates to push the button. Splinters of wood and metal blew away from the door, barely missing Gates, who had failed to duck. A curtain of smoke effectively blocked the view into Touré's office. Come out slowly, one by one. with your hands raised high above your head, Freakshow barked. Out from the haze, 4 people emerged. 10-year-old Zach Decker, followed by his father Nate. Then Renee Jensen. Her blonde hair had all but fallen out. Dr. Gina LaCroix, a small black woman with light skin and freckles on her cheeks, emerged last. Her trembling body gave the illusion that the loose-fitting blue scrubs were rippling in the breeze. Freakshow knew her as one of the handful of research scientists that worked closely with Dr. Teray. Are there any more people inside? Freakshow asked the group. LaCroix started to answer, but Freakshow shut her down. I want the kid to tell me. Go ahead, boy. No need to be shy. Nate Decker told his son. His voice was dry and his lips were chapped. Just us, sir, Zach said in a quiet, meek voice. Are there any of those creatures in there? Asked Gates. We're alive, aren't we? LaCroix said in a soft Creole accent. You 3, over there with Agent Gates, Freakshow ordered. I need to have a word with the doctor. Freakshow took Dr. LaCroix firmly by the arm and spun her toward him. Where is Teray? She's gone. Yes, I know she's gone. Where did she go? I'm not sure, she stuttered. How can you not be sure? You work day and night together. Tears welled up in LaCroix's eyes until they overflowed down her cheeks. The only thing I'm sure about is that she killed all of my colleagues and most of the staff. I barely escaped death myself. When I saw what was happening, I took my patients and hid them in that room for nearly 3 days. Did Dr. Teray do that? Freakshow asked while pointing over at the blood-splattered wall. She gathered up all the research scientists and then had them lined up and shot. The ones that got away didn't run for long. Dr. Teray released all of the creatures before she and 2 others fled the building. What 2 others? Did you catch their names? 1 man, 1 woman, both Chinese nationalists. They arrived 2 days after you left and were given complete run of the facility. Teray addressed them as Dr. Zhu and Dr. Lin. This is way above my pay grade. I'm going to have you give a full report to Major Wallace, Freakshow said, releasing Dr. LaCroix. He can debrief you while you're setting his broken arm. Special Agent Riley paced impatiently by the Black Hawk helicopter, waiting for the Humvee transporting Major Wallace and Agent Davis to arrive. As soon as it was in sight, he signaled for the driver to stop and then ran over to the rear passenger side door. Change of plans, Major Wallace, Riley said. We're not transporting you and Davis to Walter Reed after all. I am resigning you a little closer to the action. Lucky for us, our newest research facility was up and running just this week. Dr. Teray might have knocked the agency off balance, but she didn't take us out completely. If you don't mind, sir, what god-awful place are you sending me to? Wallace asked. Middle of nowhere, Indiana, Riley grinned. Grissom Air Force Base, to be exact. I am also sending Agent Shore and Dr. LaCroix to carry on the research and how to better eradicate these things. What about the civilians? Teray really screwed up the one girl missing all of the hair. They'll be going as well, especially Shore's stowaways. They've seen and heard too much to be set free. And you, sir? Riley's eyes lost their gleam. Headed to the Heartland. The good doctor really tore us a new one with that trick in Kansas. A Humvee carrying the remaining uninjured agents pulled alongside Riley. Seeing there was no more room, Riley kicked the driver out and took his place behind the wheel. You boys like barbecue? Asked Riley. Because we're headed to Kansas City. There's a wonderful hole-in-the-wall joint that serves up a slab of ribs that will make your taste buds sing for joy. Welcome to the 6 o'clock hour of Channel 11 News, the station that is the heart of Oklahoma. I'm Dennis Rush, the distinguished news anchor cheese for the camera. And I'm Laura Young, his well-tanned co-anchor said. Just a day after Wichita, Kansas was hit by a devastating earthquake, a new threat has arisen. Eyewitnesses are claiming that the fallen city has been besieged by strange-looking creatures that seem to be crawling out of the huge gorge that has split Wichita in two. Reports of close encounters and savage attacks have been pouring into the station. Now at Ground Zero, with a Channel 11 exclusive, is KOKM's very own Amber Crane. Thanks, Laura. As you can see, I've been wearing this surgical mask to protect my lungs from all the toxic smoke that is still enveloping Wichita. And if the smoke, fires, and constant aftershocks weren't enough, these weary citizens have something else to fear. What this reporter can only describe as some type of hairless bears has overtaken the entire downtown area and are quickly spreading in all directions. Frantic calls to police of people being mauled and family pets being dragged away have been reported in and all around Sedgwick County. Authorities say they have no way to stop the advancing horde and have sent out urgent warnings to as far south as Oklahoma City and as far north as Lawrence, Kansas, not to approach or feed these animals.